seated. Good morning, graduates, honored guests, my fellow faculty, and the family and friends of the graduating class. It is a privilege to welcome you to our commencement. My name is Austin Parrish, and I have the proud privilege of serving as Chancellor's Professor and Dean of the University of California, Irvine School of Law. This morning, we will bestow the Juris Doctor degree or the Masters of Law degree on 170 extraordinary graduating students. They are the class of 2000. This is not a royal coronation. We should applaud whenever we think appropriate. Today marks the 12th commencement of our great law school. It promises to be an inspiring ceremony. After opening remarks from our Chancellor, Howard Gilman, we'll hear from 3 student speakers, one for each of our different degree programs, and then congratulatory remarks from our student-selected faculty speaker, Professor Ji-Sun Song. And finally, we'll have the privilege of the Chief Judge, the Honorable Philip S. Gutierrez, joining us, and he will give us the keynote address. We're also very pleased to be joined by the University of California Board of Regents, Alumni Regent Designate Keith Ellis. And I also want a special welcome to the families of Professor Ji-Sun Song and Professor Chief Judge Gutierrez, who are joining us in the audience. Before we begin the ceremony, I have some formal thank yous to make. This is a big day not only for you as our graduates, but it's also for your family and loved ones. All of us on this stage would love to take credit for this great class, but the truth is we are relative latecomers, and the accomplishments and achievements that we celebrate today are not of those of our graduates alone. Behind each and every one of our graduates is a story of family and friends and loved ones. Our graduates' real education was earned long before they arrived here at UCI. It is appropriate then to pause to recognize the family, friends, and loved ones for their support of our students. I think you wouldn't have made it as far as you have without them. So can the graduates please join me in a round of applause for your friends, families, and loved ones. Ultimately, what makes our school great is not only our students, but our staff, our faculty, and our alumni. Our remarkable school couldn't succeed without dedicated administration and staff. They are the engines that drive the law school, sometimes on the front lines, but often quietly behind the scenes. They're an extraordinary group committed to our students. The same is true for our stellar faculty colleagues. At UCI, we are fortunate to have some of the finest legal minds and lawyers in the country. These outstanding teachers, scholars, and mentors have challenged the graduating class and have cheered them on for the past 3 years. And finally, when today's ceremony ends, graduates, you will be concluding one stage of your relationship with the law school, but you'll be beginning another important one as we welcome you into our alumni ranks. Indeed, we're very pleased that Carissa Yoakum, our Law Alumni Association president, and the graduate from the class of 2017, representing our alumni community, is here with us today and serving as this year's Mace Marshal. Carissa, thank you. Please join me in a round of applause for the staff, faculty, and alumni of our school. And then lastly, the end of the semester marks the retirement of 3 extraordinary colleagues, Professor Rachel Moran, Professor Bob Solomon, and Professor Henry Weinstein. All 3 are long-standing members of UCI and the law school who have left their indelible mark on our graduates and our community. We don't have time in this ceremony to appropriately celebrate their achievements, but if you could join me in a round of applause to thank them and congratulate them. One of the great strengths of our law school is that we are deeply embedded and a core part of one of the world's leading research institutions and one of the nation's great public universities. Our connections across campus and the opportunities it provides our students and faculty are extraordinary. We are fortunate then that our chancellor is not just a supporter of the law school, but deeply familiar with law and legal education and a member of the law school's faculty. Howard Gilman became the 6th chancellor of the University of California, Irvine in September 2014. He's an award-winning scholar and teacher with expertise in the American Constitution and the United States Supreme Court. He holds faculty appointments in the law school, the Department of Political Science, the Department of History, and the Department of Criminology, Law, and Society. Under Chancellor Gilman's leadership, UCI has accelerated its ascendancy. During his tenure, UCI has consistently ranked in the top 10 of all public universities in the nation. He has furthered our university's national leadership in sustainability, advanced student success, and promoted social mobility, fostered regional economic development, and expanded the university's capacity to improve lives in our region and around the world. A native of Southern California, Chancellor Gilman grew up in North Hollywood, and like so many of our students, he too was a first-generation college student. Please join me in warmly welcoming Chancellor Howard Gilman.
Thank you so much. Good morning to you all. I am thrilled to be here with all of you to celebrate the UC Irvine School of Law Class of 2023. Before I share some remarks, I want to add my welcome to this wonderful ceremony to a member of the University of California Board of Regents Alumni Regent Designate Keith Ellis. Regent Designate Ellis is a proud alumnus of the University of California, having earned undergraduate degrees in political science and in management from UC Merced and a doctorate in education from UC Davis. A strong advocate for California public higher education. He is an ardent supporter of enhanced access for students with disabilities and for the LGBTQ plus community. Welcome, Regent Designate Ellis. Thank you so much for being here. And so, graduates, what a tremendous day it is. It is a culmination of years of dreaming and planning, so many long days and late nights, sacrifices, setbacks that were survived, a long journey, a very high mountaintop, and here you are. Take a few moments to breathe, a sigh of relief, and appreciate the magnitude of your accomplishment. Now, graduates, we have seen the legal profession severely tested over the past few years. There have been enormous pressures for lawyers and judges to act as if law was merely an instrument of power or an extension of partisan agendas. We have witnessed too many cases where individuals entrusted with ensuring the integrity of the legal system have capitulated, violating important norms, ignoring fundamental ethical considerations, prioritizing ideological or partisan agendas, and even peddling lies. We have also witnessed lawyers and judges who held firm, refused to play along, spoke the truth. And through all of this, we have learned how precarious the rule of law really is. And we can see clearly that there is nothing that ensures that the rule of law will prevail other than the dedication of legal professionals to its maintenance. And so, graduates, you understand that there is majesty in the law only insofar as the law becomes the vehicle through which a free and democratic people realize their highest aspirations for justice and the promotion of the public interest. There is majesty only insofar as the law remains something other than a mere instrument of power or partisan agendas. And so, for the sake of us all, and for the sake of the very idea of the rule of law as a human good, I urge you to make decisions as professionals that give the rule of law the respect it deserves and the respect it must have if democracy is to survive. Connect it to the people, connect it to justice, make sure it is more than just your political preferences, since it must serve all members of a diverse democratic polity. You are rightfully viewed as leaders of the legal profession in one of the world's great democracies. You can have an important responsibility. You have an important responsibility to get this right, and we have faith in our future because we have faith in you. And so once again, congratulations. We're very proud of you, and we wish you all the very best on this special day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chancellor Gilman, for those inspiring remarks. Our tradition is for our graduating class to choose classmates to deliver remarks. We'll hear from 3 student speakers today, first from our Global Master's Program, then our Graduate Tax Program, and finally from our JD degree program. This year, our Global LM graduates have chosen Young-hee Young Thomas Chung. Thomas earned his Bachelor of Law degrees from Dongguk University, after which he pursued a Master's in Law degree from the University of West London, where he focused on international business and commercial law. Thomas has been an extraordinary member of a community, someone that everybody in the school knows. He has represented his LM classmates as a member of the Student Bar Association and was recently recognized with this year's LM Student Leader Award. The LA Copyright Society has also awarded Thomas its 2023 Paul Miller Award, which recognizes outstanding law students in copyright and entertainment law. Please join me in welcoming Thomas Chung.
Thank you, Dean Parrish, for the introduction. And, sorry. Wow, just look at all of you future big shot attorneys in your beautiful gowns and fancy things on your heads. And well, congratulations. And it is with great pleasure and deep sense of pride that I stand before you today as we celebrate the culmination of not only our global LLM program, but as a law school. What an achievement, guys. Congratulations. So our global LLM program is a mix of legal experts and legal scholars and lawyers from all over the world. And I'm pretty sure that most of our LLM class expected or knew that legal education is a challenge. But coming into the US and then starting another degree in legal education, it's not so much about the education, but it's about settling into a new environment, getting used to something that we're not familiar with. And that's something that's impossible without the help of the fellow students and the faculty and the people surrounding us. And that's exactly what happened. Every one of you were so nice to us from day one. The LLM team, Kari, Miriam, Mary, and Grace Lee, you guys were champions of us. You guys helped us through all of the small little miscellaneous steps until finishing the finals yesterday, literally. So I really want to thank you all for that. And that's something that I do feel is very special about UCI Law, because before I came to US Law School, I did my research. And according to the wise men on Reddit, US Law School is supposed to be this vigorous, competitive, area where classmates spill coffee on your notes or they steal your adapters, like everyone's trying to outsmart each other. But that wasn't how UCI Law was. Everyone was trying to help out. Students always wanted to share their outlines. Their outlines? That was crazy. But anyways, and professors always wanted to help us out. They wanted to spare their time for us so they could really help us understand the materials. And that's something that I believe is very unique and special about UCI Law. And as I've mentioned, our global LLM program is a mix of global lawyers and legal scholars from all over the world. So I believe that if we take those values into our practices, no matter where they are, maybe, not enough for probable cause, but maybe enough for reasonable suspicion, maybe, we might make the world a better place. And I do believe that the world needs better lawyers right now. And I wanted to end with this quote that Judge O'Neill gave us. He said that law is more than just a business. Law is important, so always remember that. It's a very simple message, but I think it really holds a strong message, because we know how one legal decision can inspire a whole generation for change and motivate them for achieving greatness. And also, one legal decision can oppress a whole generation of people as well. So this time, under the totality of the circumstances, I do believe that there is a fair probability that each and every one of you will go out there and champion the work of law and make the world a better place. So I want to end with thanking all the faculty members, all the students for helping us settle in and making us feel welcome, and not making this just an era of legal education, but a wonderful experience. And I hope this friendship can last as long as we can see, and I hope to see you all very soon. Not in court, though. Unless you're the judge. Well, anyways, thank you very much, congratulations, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Thomas. This year, our Master of Laws graduates from our graduate tax program have chosen Eddie Coronado as their speaker. Eddie is a UCI Law alumnus, having received his JD degree from the school just last year. He received his bachelor's degree in English Literature and Philosophy from UC Davis in 2017. Eddie discovered his passion for tax after taking Professor Blank's federal income tax class and Professor Fleischer's tax policy colloquium here at UCI. During his time in the LLM program, Eddie externed for the U.S. Tax Court and was named a finalist in the American Bar Association Tax Challenges LLM Division. Eddie's originally from Merced, California, and is the first in his family to graduate from law school. After graduation, he'll be joining Ernst & Young's International Tax Transaction Services Group in San Jose. Please welcome Eddie Coronado.
Thank you. Good morning. It is an absolute honor to speak on behalf of the Graduate Tax Program's class of 2023. Friends, looking back on this year, I realize that all of us in the tax program have learned so much. Seriously, we have spent countless hours learning everything from the consequences of triggering subpart F to the intricacies of 704B partnership allocations. By the way, my condolences for those of you who have just gotten done with the partnership final. I hear there's champagne at the reception outside, so you should take advantage of that. But thinking back on all the difficult questions we were forced to answer this year, the hardest one was deceptively simple. Why tax? I find this question is pretty easy when you're speaking to other tax professionals. You can say something like, oh yeah, I like a specific part of the code, or, you know, triangular reverse tax-free reorganizations just really spoke to me. And they get it. But when I'm asked that question by someone without a tax background, it becomes a little more difficult to answer, because I have to think back, way back, before I was ever a tax person myself. And I was younger, more innocent, and the bags under my eyes weren't so dark and deep. I can tell you what really drew me to this profession. And the answer is 5 simple words. Tax policy is social policy. So let me quickly explain. The tax system is our government's most direct way of affecting our daily lives. It takes, and it takes, and it takes, but it also gives back by building the infrastructure we use, funding the programs meant to assist us, and paying the salaries of the people that work for our community. Unfortunately, the system, as I'm sure you are all well aware, is imperfect and is, for most people, borderline incomprehensible. As a result, a lot of people out there can't take advantage of the system's benefits benefits that they have every right to use, simply because they don't know about them. So when I first started learning about the world of tax, I thought about the people in my life who could really benefit from having access to this kind of knowledge. For example, I thought about one of my best friends who runs and operates his own small business, my cousins who are thinking about purchasing and developing property for the first time, and about my grandparents who might just need a little extra guidance when they're filling out their returns. I realized that I could help so many people in my life navigate such a complex and convoluted system, but only if I gave tax education a try. So I figured, why not? And maybe I could extract some value and help some of the people around me. And I was right. As soon as my folks found out I was a tax lawyer, I started getting a lot of calls out of the blue with some random advice, particularly in April. And I would tell them the same thing every time. TurboTax probably charges a lot less than I do. Just kidding. Not really. So, for giving all of my colleagues and I the tools necessary to help not only our future clients, but all of the people in our lives, I would like to take a moment to thank everybody involved with the program. To Professor Marion, who not only taught us the fundamentals of international tax, but also taught us that the Treasury Department really spends a lot of time coming up with fun acronyms like GILTY and BEAT, instead of writing simple and understandable tax laws. To Professor Blank for teaching us about corporate tax, but also teaching us about the run-ins with the IRS that involved my favorite country singer, Willie Nelson. Bottom line, if you want to keep your celebrity heroes, never become their tax lawyer. To Professor Fleischer, who taught us about partnership tax and about this funny little loophole called carried interest, which I'm sure Congress is rushing to finish any day now. It's only been like 20 years. To Natasha Fastabend, the executive director of our program, whose constant hard work and guidance throughout the year helped us get through this program with our sanity intact. To the adjunct faculty, who took time away from their busy practices to teach us about their areas of expertise. To the staff, students, and faculty of UCI Law for providing everyone in the program with such a wonderful and welcoming community. To all of our family, friends, and anyone who ever supported us, thank you, because without your help, none of our success would have been possible. And lastly, to my colleagues, thank you all for such an amazing year. It has been an absolute privilege getting to learn and grow alongside all of you. Congratulations again to the class of 2023. We did it.
Thanks, Eddie. When I heard we were having a talk about tax, I was worried, but that was brilliant. Finally, the graduating JD students have made a fabulous choice in selecting Jorge Iniguez as the JD student speaker. Jorge grew up in Atotonico, El Grande, Hidalgo, Mexico, in a small town of only 7,000. At a young age, he inspired to become a mechanical engineer and an inventor. After his family moved back to the United States, however, Jorge focused on becoming an attorney, where he believed he could make the most impact. He has been deeply involved, serving in the Civil Rights Litigation Clinic, as a clerk to the Community Legal Aid of Southern California, the Public Rights Project, and the Public Law Center. After graduation, Jorge plans to work as a civil rights attorney focused on impact litigation and advocating for causes he cares deeply about. He'll return home to Sacramento and serve as an attorney for the legal services of Northern California. Please join me in welcoming Jorge Iniguez.
You know, I prepared for this, and it still feels like a cold call. To Dean Parrish, Chancellor Gilman, Chief Judge Gutierrez, UCI Law faculty and staff, the Latinx Law Student Association, mi querida familia, perdón por no haberles decidido de esta sorpresa, Alaska, Corey, my anteater friends for life, thank you for this honor, and congratulations to the class of 2023. For the non-Spanish speakers, my family didn't know I was speaking today. This marks an incredibly important date in our lives. Get out your calendars and remember, 6 months from today, your first student loan repayment begins. Today, I see parents, siblings, partners, friends, and family gathering in this place we've called home for the last 3 years. This whole auditorium is filled with family. My family moved a lot when I was younger, there were a lot of places we called home: Sacramento, Folsom, Mexico City, Hidalgo, Idaho, and Natomas. I'm proud to be able to add UC Irvine to that list. And in this UCI home of ours, there's a lot of notable events that have colored the experiences we've shared together. We've had to learn the name of 4 different deans. It's been confusing having a former spy as a dean, but I'm glad Dean Austin Powers is here to stay. We pushed the envelope and expanded the possibilities of what a quiet library can sound like. We've studied through wildfires right on our doorsteps and lightning right by our windows. We shared memes about lawyering skills on Discord our first year, stressed about moot court our second year, and commiserated about the writing requirement our third year. We've adversely possessed pizza outside of EDU 1111 that rightfully should have been ours after a year that was completely remote. We've learned to make this hand gesture. And I know I'm Mexican, but just to be clear, this is an anteater and not a gang sign. We saw our intramural soccer team, Motion to Strike, make it to the finals. And we were one of the first law schools to remove ourselves from the US News rankings. And we did it all without ever getting our coffee cart. While we had a lot of fun in between, make no mistake, law school is hard. Doe versus Supreme Court of Kentucky, 482 Federal Sup, 3rd edition, 571 at 584. For my friends in law review wondering if that's a real citation, it is. But honestly, law school was a hell of a beast. And perhaps there are some of you for which law school was a breeze. Perhaps. But for the rest of us, law school was grueling. We had to learn how to write all over again. We read briefs and cases to the point of neck pain. We stressed over papers and grades and finals and hours and internships and applications and jobs. We had it tough. But despite all that, I've never doubted the class of 2023. I've never doubted our class because we are a remarkable class for 2 reasons. First, our class's accomplishments, our consistent hard work, and our collaborative mindset. And second, our willingness to go to law school when everything was uncertain. Let's talk about the first category. This class has so many accomplishments that I could not fit them all into one speech without making my speech a filibuster to graduation. Lauren Davis and Elizabeth Duran jump-started the Mental Health Law Society, bringing back an important resource for mental health support among law students. In a profession where substance abuse and mental health issues run amok, their initiative is spectacular. Thanks to the efforts of Kennedy Myers, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, and the Curriculum Committee, we were the first University of California Law School to adopt a race and indigeneity requirement for all graduating students. Then we have Roy Ben-David and Nicole Tackaberry, who argued in front of the 9th Circuit last month and then came back to class like it was no big deal. These students are just one appeal away from the Supreme Court, and they haven't even graduated yet. Now, for the 2nd year in a row, a UCI law student has won a Skadden Fellowship. Dana Matsunami was awarded a prestigious and highly competitive Skadden Fellowship for public service work. Similarly, Clark Azar-Habashi will be working in the U.S. Department of Justice as an honors attorney. My friend Adam Snyder will be working in the IRS's honors program. Joshua Trin, the truest meme lord, if there ever was one, will be working for the California Attorney General as an honors attorney as well. Now, in terms of clerkships, you guys killed it. Last year's class had 7 clerkships. The class before that, it was 5. This class has 12 students with clerkships lined up in the fall. Hannah Bayer, Samantha Berry, Lisa Cintron, Natalie Gold, Zara Hayter, Mason Haddam, Carson Melgard, Ryan Riedmuller, Miranda Tafoya, Cindy Ventura, Jasper Burrows, and Elizabeth Schatz Cordero all have clerkships lined up. And I really should count Elizabeth Schatz Cordero twice, because after her first clerkship, she has another clerkship with the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Our class also held its own for pro bono. 92% of all of us did at least some type of pro bono over the past 3 years. Almost a third of us will graduate with pro bono honors or pro bono high honors, and 5 of us went over the 300-hour mark. Rachel Ida served as student leader for the litigation of a class action lawsuit challenging the San Diego County's sheriff handling of COVID in county jails. She coordinated 22 other UCI law students on the case, and they won opposition to a motion for summary judgment just a few months ago. In her 3L year, Brittany Emses, by working on criminal defense projects, completed over 200 hours of pro bono by accident. She hadn't even realized she had done over 200 hours until Anna Davis handed her an award for doing so. Then there's Anna Sitieva, who completed 571 hours of pro bono over her 3 years at UCI. She is one of just a few UCI law grads to have reached the 500 pro bono hours mark. In just 3 years, she volunteered with 12 different organizations, almost always doing work to assist migrants. She also began assisting a Holocaust survivor whom she adopted because he has no relatives or community to lean on. And keep in mind, these students did all of this in addition to the behemoth that law school already presents. Hopefully, this helps paint a picture of the type of students that come to UCI Law. Now, I want to talk about the second category, our willingness to go to law school when everything was uncertain. Our class was willing to go to law school when our future had a lot of unknowns. The amazing thing about our class that is especially unique for the year we started law school is that we were unwavering in our decision to go to law school in the middle of a pandemic. You see, the class before us was rugged. They were already committed to staying, and they didn't have much choice but to continue what they had already started. The class after us was clever. They tried to anticipate the unknowns, and many of them waited until things cleared up before going to law school. But our class embraced the unknown, forging forward into the darkness, uncertain of what may come, but determined nonetheless. We all had a choice to stay or to leave, which was tangled with much uncertainty about the future. We had good reason to cancel or to postpone, and we didn't. That's why I've never doubted the class of 2023. The reality is that today marks the bookend of a journey that started in kindergarten. Back then, the test seemed easier, the curve was not a cause for concern, and reading was still fun. The only thing that remained constant was the amount of crying. We've come a long way from ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, learning how to tie our shoes and write our names. Would you please, along with me, take 10 seconds to think about all the people who have helped nurture us, teach us, defend us, and support us throughout this entire journey. Just 10 seconds of silence. I'll watch the clock. Whomever you've been thinking about, how pleased they must be to see the person you've become. I know that you will continue to be as great as you all are. I know that this class will continue to stand up for what it believes in. I know that we'll continue fighting for what's right. and I know that we'll continue helping those who need it, because when you help someone, you help everyone. Congratulations to the class of 2023.
That was fabulous, thank you. Each year, the students select a faculty member to speak to the graduating class. This year, that honor goes to Professor Ji-Sun Song. A graduate of Columbia University and its law school, and having received an LLM from Georgetown University, before UCI, Professor Song worked for nearly a decade as a public defender in California and Washington, D.C. At UCI, she teaches our first-year statutory analysis class, criminal procedure, and seminars on policing and punishment. She is an exceptional scholar whose research focuses on youth justice and on issues relating to the criminal system in healthcare settings. Please join me in warmly welcoming my extraordinary colleague, Professor Ji-Sun Song.
You did it. Members of the jury, my client. Hold up, that's the wrong kind of closing argument. Hello, class of 2023. Hello, friends and family of this extraordinary group of graduates. Hello, esteemed guests and colleagues. I am honored to be chosen by the class of 2023 as the faculty speaker and to be able to publicly celebrate all of you today. Some of you know, or you know because you follow Dean Parrish's robust social media accounts, that I was just in Seoul, Korea. I'd been there before, I was born there. But this time felt different because I returned as a lawyer, as a law professor, and this question kept coming to mind. What would my life be like if my sister, my mom, my dad, and I had not immigrated to the United States, leaving most of our family and loved ones? Would I have gone to law school? Would I have become a lawyer, a public defender? Would I be a professor here at UCI? And these kinds of questions aren't inevitable. You may have had your own similar questions. What if I had not started law school, as Jorge pointed out, during the height of a global pandemic? What would have been different about my law school experience or my life in general? Would I be in the same place now? Now, the answers to these questions are unknowable. We don't get to rewind and pick a different adventure in life. But the asking of the question offers us a chance to reflect on how we are shaped by our choices and circumstances, often circumstances that are beyond our control. One could view your 1L year as it was hard, or some other synonym for hard that I'm not going to repeat here, and let's leave the past in the past. And when I first started to write the speech, I thought the same. Why visit that difficult and painful time? But I do so for two reasons. The first is to loudly affirm this triumphant moment of law school as especially triumphant in light of how you began. There are not enough times that we can stop and appreciate how difficult it was for you to start your 1L year, which is already disorienting, at the most disorienting and more unmooring period of our times. And yet, here you are. And there's a second reason. So I went to these meetings in Seoul and I walked its streets and I thought of all the ways that I've been shaped by my immigrant experience. Perhaps that's my superpower. Similarly, because of how you started law school, I argue you've been differently shaped, exceptionally formed, and particularly well-suited for our current and future challenges. This is important, because these times call for exceptional and unusual creative perspective, solutions, and visions with challenges to our democracy, our increasingly polarized country, and as that polarization is reflected in our judiciary and legislatures and polity. Those things exist alongside continuing questions of the impact of technology, how do we protect this earth we live on, the challenges of mass incarceration, immigration, obtaining equality, and the list goes on. But you, class of 2023 came to law school with the collective perspective molded by a moment that was singularly different and illuminating. In 2020, in that first year of the pandemic, a racial reckoning swept across the country. We were engaging in conversations about health equity, climate change, corporate responsibility, policing in ways that seemed to portend a different future. But now, at the other end of your law school experience, the world is in a very different place. In many ways, we seem to have developed amnesia of that pressing sense of urgency. But just give it time, I say. Because class of 2023, I believe that the context of the world that shaped your first steps into law school make you the right ones to respond to our world's challenges. It is that context combined with our collective project of learning law, and this collective project includes our LLM students and grad tax students who enrich our community in so many ways. Every year, and this year, these students join our school from other countries and from legal careers, enhancing our knowledge with different and fresh perspectives on law's role in society. Law is the common language of human relationships and how we live together on this earth. Law gives us ways to repair and to bridge divides. This diverse community has led us, students and teachers alike, to keep open minds, to look past the obvious, to admit when the old ways to solve problems are not necessarily the best ways or even the good ways. I'm firmly a Gen X person. I have come to terms with the fact that my generation is the forgotten, the in-between, the bridge for generations like yours that will be change makers. And we have seen this through your probing questions, your critical analysis, and your clear-eyed assessments, in papers where you brought your truths, your histories, and questions that challenged orthodoxies, in hard conversations where you've displayed your comfort and ease in disagreeing with one another and coming to better understandings, and in your work where you demonstrated that no matter your chosen path, private law or public law, something in between or something else, because a law degree confers power, and with that power comes responsibility. Public service and making the world better is simply just part of the job description. But your roads forward won't be obvious or easy. Life is an adventure. It's a beautiful one, but also complicated and unpredictable. So I'm going to leave you with a few thoughts that have been helpful to me through the various transitions of my life and career. This is your journey. Others may give you advice, but ultimately this life is, as the poet Mary Oliver described, your one wild and precious life. Unconventional choices are okay. In fact, they are often the most inspired and rewarding. Have a firm idea of how you want to make an impression in this world, and firm doesn't have to mean unchanging. It does not necessarily have to be about your career. It could be about your loved ones or what you loved to do when you were 5 or 6 years old. Remember that creativity and law can coexist. Celebrate moments like today and take the time and honor and thank the ones who helped you. Always pay it forward, and when things get hard, and they likely will, give yourself grace, find joy, surround yourself with those who love you, and if all else fails, a killer outfit fixes a lot of things. I am so grateful to have been a part of your journey, and I have learned so much from you. UCI Law Class of 2023, I am in awe of your brilliance, perseverance, and kindness. I admire you, I applaud you, and I can't wait to see how far you fly. Thank you.
Like so many of my colleagues, shorter in height, giant in stature. I am now privileged to introduce Philip S. Gutierrez, Chief Judge of the United States District Court for the Central District of California, to deliver our keynote commencement address. Judge Gutierrez graduated from the University of Notre Dame before earning a Juris Doctorate at UCLA Law School. He's led a career of distinction. He began as a lawyer in private practice, eventually becoming a managing partner of a well-known Santa Ana firm. After more than a decade, he joined the bench, first on the Whittier Municipal Court, then on the Los Angeles County Superior Court. In 2007, he was unanimously confirmed by the United States Senate to serve on the U.S. District Court for the Central District of California. And in June 2020, he assumed the position of Chief Judge. We've had the pleasure of having the Chief Judge speak at UCI Law before, but what I've always been struck with has been his kindness and his warmth to our students and the tremendous mentorship he provides to younger attorneys. Please join me in a very warm welcome to this year's commencement keynote speaker, the Honorable Philip S. Gutierrez.
Thank you for the kind introduction. These are tough speakers to follow. First of all, I just wanted to thank Thomas for remembering my esteemed colleague, Judge O'Neill, who I believe teaches evidence here. Eddie, thank you for making tax sound interesting. And I have some regret that I never went to the tax court to practice. And Jorge, I look forward, although you'll be in Sacramento, I look forward to having you appear in front of me as a civil rights lawyer. I know that no matter how hard I try, I won't be able to trip you up. And Professor Song, thank you for reminding us to pay it forward. I think that's a crucial message today. Chancellor Gilman, Dean Parrish, and faculty members, thank you for the kind invitation to participate in the UCI School of Law 2023 commencement. To the class of 2023, congratulations, and thank you for allowing me to be part of your special day. For the graduates today, and some of the speakers have already talked about it, imagine that you are at the Academy Awards, and today you have won the Oscar. So on your behalf, I want to thank a few people. My mother, my father, my brothers, my sisters, all of my family, my husband, my wife, my partner, my dear friends, my professors and teachers, UCI for the opportunity to study at a wonderful place, a wonderful school of law, and the particular emphasis that this university places on public service. Thank you to everyone. I'm often asked by law students, did you always know you wanted to be a judge? And my response has always been quick and unequivocal, no. However, I add that my mother always knew I was going to be a judge, and at some point she convinced me that it was my idea, and I applied. Obviously, my mother was a great mother, and to all the mothers here today, I wish you an early happy Mother's Day as well. As Dean Parrish pointed out, I was appointed to become a state court judge in 1997. About 10 years later, in 2007, I was nominated by the President and confirmed by the Senate to become a United States District Judge. I was 47 at the time, relatively young. On that year, on Father's Day, my son Connor wrote me a note, and he says, "Papa, I love you. Dream big." I thought to myself, what the heck did this kid want from me besides what I'd already accomplished? And then it occurred to me that Connor was quoting me to me. Dream big. The famous UCLA basketball coach, John Wooden, didn't particularly like that saying of dream big. He advised, and I quote, "Mix idealism with realism and hard work. This will often bring much more than you could have ever hoped for." Although it's unwise to disagree with Coach Wooden, I still say, dream big. And let me explain. In 1987, some of you may know, maybe you're too young to know, Cheech Marin wrote and directed the comedy and satire Born in East LA. Like the movie, I was born and raised in East Los Angeles. At that time, and today as well, East LA is a Latino working community. We've had struggles with gangs, but it's also a community with rich traditions of music, literature, art, and lowriders. Like immigrant communities across the country, everybody knew everybody else. When I was growing up also, it was also the bedrock of the Chicano movement. I was the youngest of 4 kids, and my parents divorced when I was around 6. Like many people in our society, my father struggled from alcoholism, drug addiction, and gambling addiction. As a result, the 4 children were raised by a single mother. I think the circumstances caused me to act out when I was young. I was always raising trouble. I was a real hellion at the time. On a yearly and biannual basis, my poor mother would have to beg the nuns not to throw me out of school. In fact, my 6th grade teacher told me that the only way I was going to get out of East LA was on a bus. There was no dreaming big. However, in 7th grade, a Benedictine brother, Brother Hilary McGuire, saw something in me. He taught me how to play tennis and also tutored me in math. He took me around tennis courts all over Los Angeles, and by high school, I was ready to start to dream big. I went to a predominantly all-boys Latino school in Montebello. Then came along a teacher, like many of you have had great teachers, James K. Moran. And he took it up a notch and encouraged several of the Latino boys to go to college. And we did. During high school, and I like to brag, I was number 1 on the tennis team, but I was only ranked 2 in my class. I was accepted to Yale, Stanford, and Notre Dame. I went to Notre Dame. Where else would I be on a Saturday afternoon besides Notre Dame? And I point this out to make a point. As an 8th grader, there was no way that I could have imagined that this was going to happen to me. My mind was not capable of dreaming that big. And I think that's why it's important to dream big. You will achieve things bigger than your mind can ever imagine. So on to Notre Dame, and my sophomore year I spent it in Maynooth, Ireland. On to UCLA School of Law. As many of you, becoming the first lawyer in my family. And for all of these things, these were all bigger things than I ever could have dreamed. So again, I encourage you to dream big, and your mind will accomplish more than you can dream. My mother always dreamt big. The governor appointed me to be a court judge, state court judge. The president of the United States nominated me to become a United States District Court judge. And as the dean said, I was confirmed 97 to nothing. With the likes of Senator Obama, Senator Clinton, Senator Kennedy, Senator Schumer, McConnell, Dole, and Graham voting aye. Imagine that. Finally, as a chief judge for the Central District of California for the last 3 years, you, like me, were challenged with COVID, civil unrest, and very difficult and emotional judicial decisions. And for the past few years, maybe Coach Wooden was right. Idealism with realism and hard work. But I still convey to you, each of you, to dream big You will achieve things greater than your mind can ever imagine. I wish you all the best in everything. And again, thank you for allowing me to be here on your special day. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Judge, and thank you to your mom. Now the moment that you've been waiting for, or we've been waiting for, let us now recognize each of our graduates individually. We will begin with our graduate degree students from both LLM programs and then our JD students. Will the candidates for the degree of Masters of Law from our global LLM program please rise and remain standing? Chancellor Gilman, if you could join me at the podium. We are fortunate each year to have a truly extraordinary lawyers from around the world and scholars join us here in Irvine to study for a year. Our global connections are one of our greatest strengths. We have learned with them and from them. We are proud that this group will go on to serve as the international face of UCI law as we continue to expand our global reach. Chancellor Gilman, I present to you the Master of Laws Class of 2023 from our global LLM program.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Regents of the University of California, I confer upon you the degree of Masters of Laws for which you have been presented. Congratulations. Nicely done. Please be seated.
We will now recognize each degree recipient individually. I'll ask each member of the class to come forward as Assistant Dean Hornsby calls your name. I will then have the pleasure of congratulating you individually.
The 2023 graduates of the Global LLM program. Yoon Gun Hyung. Chung Si In. Iching Grace Yang. Gulwant Singh Taliwal. Mihiri Milmini Gunesinghe. Tashanova Gojanat. Hyung Jun Ro. Park Young Hoon. Sophia Osuna. Syed Mohammed Mir Shafi'i. Chu Chuen Nin. Min Uk Kim. Ki Hyung Kim. Chong Hwa Kim. Hong Yul Kim. JC Elsa Joe. Chung Duk Kim. Yu Rong Om. Chong Young Hyun. Choi Min Ji. Aboli Prakash. Renato Iris Martin de Oliveira. Razan Alferer. Song Hoon An. And this concludes the presentation of the degrees of Master of Laws for our Global LLM program.
Will the candidates for the Master of Laws from the Graduate Tax Program please rise and remain standing? Chancellor Gilman, we have one of the finest graduate tax programs in the nation, and this is another exceptional class. We are proud that this group is well prepared for careers as tax attorneys, judges, tax administrators, and policy advocates. Chancellor Gilman, I present to you the Master of Laws Class of 2023 from our Graduate Tax Program.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Regents of the University of California, I confer upon you the degree of Masters of Laws for which you have been presented. Congratulations, you did it. Nicely done.
We will now recognize each degree recipient individually. I'll ask each member of the class of the Graduate Tax Program to come forward as Executive Director Natasha Fastaben calls your name. I'll then have the pleasure of congratulating you individually.
Julian Adams. Sarah Rose Benowitz. Andreas Verdugo. Siki Chen. Ian Mayer. Gregory P.K. Padilla. Jianga Victor Samuel. Hansol Lim. Eddie Coronado. This concludes the presentation of the degrees of Masters of Law from the School of Law.
I would now ask the candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor to rise and remain standing. Chancellor Gilman, I present to you the class of 2023. Each one of them has completed the requirements prescribed by the American Bar Association, the University of California, and the law school. I can say without hesitation that this class will be excellent lawyers. While here at UCI Law, in addition to rigorous coursework, they participate in countless student organizations, programs, law reviews, student government, and so much more. The class of 2023 has also been deeply committed to making a difference, participating in almost 12,000 hours of pro bono work over the last 3 years and thousands of hours helping those most in need through our world-class clinical program. Like our LM students that we've just celebrated, our JD students have been wonderful partners in creating a vibrant law school culture. We pride ourselves on graduating highly skilled, thoughtful, creative, and ethical lawyers who will go on to be leaders. The class of 2023 represents the very best of what legal education has to offer. Chancellor Gilman, I present to you the class of 2023.
Here we go. By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Regents of the University of California, I confer upon you the degree of Juris Doctor for which you have been presented. Congratulations, you just graduated law school. Please be seated.
It's official. They can't take it back now. Okay. We'll now recognize the degree recipients individually. As in the last 2 degrees, I'll ask each member of the class of 223 to come forward as your name is called by Assistant Dean Jenna Jones and Assistant Dean Kyle Jones. I'll then have the pleasure of congratulating each of you individually.
Jenny Wu. Lena Sajapur. Judy Beladi. Miranda Tafora. Sarah Beydoun. Annie Barker. Jason Patrick Grimm. Michael Irvin. Alex Bogus. Cameron Deakins. Alexandra Stockton. Cindy Ventura. Itzel Figueroa Montes. David Manrique. June Liciano. Lance Lee. Luciano Centino Alvarado. Jorge Adan Iniguez. David Plick. Anna Setieva. Caitlin Stern. Rosanna Kelly. Lauren Davis. Elise Taylor. Bethel Zara Hayter. Felicia Yip. Lila Lavanhanakol. Haley Phelan. Blake Duval. Wesley Swager. Maxwell Levens. Alec Rigolski. Kaylin Hadlock. Zoe Vikstrom. Carson Melgard. Nicole Tackaberry. Jessica Horsham. Kennedy Rochelle Myers. Catherine Page. LaBrianna Story Turner Bland. Letitia Johnson Smith. Hanukkah Ozeki. Damhi Ha. Alexandria Pilmer. Caro Contronio. Katahdin Rendino. Solange Fortenbeck. Allison Rabe. Avery Dillon. Catherine Cito. Tiffany Yunlin Liu. Christopher Young. Jonas Agile. Jacob Yoneda. Mason Deutsch. Dana Fukimoko Matsunami. Caitlin Oren. Jenna Cowan. Samuel Kishiyama. Priya Gambier. Katie Siemens. Krina Desai.
Emma Sharif Beckett. Nathan Romo. Audra Shum. Avery Field. Matthew Eaton. Syed Atala. Sean Kuklin. Brian Fiumara. Omar Newhide. Max Earp Thomas. Mason Hatton. Eric Solibian. Kilark Hossam Habashi Azer. Crystal Campos. Alexandra Cadena. Aiden Dongkwan Kim. Kenneth Armstrong. Caroline Nestor. Daniel Zuniga. Rachel Ida. Laura Chun. Emily Livermore. Anna Wood. Andrew Del Vasto. Maria Hutt. Thomason Bernhardt. Tessa Maricino. Jared Allen. Darian Catherine McMillan. Matthew Goff. Christine Keverkova. Chloe Ann Lee. Megan Chi-Yu Wong. Mira Patel. Layla Antoinette Rodriguez. Gloria Kim. Joshua Trin. Moshe Nuriel Molayim. Tara Javedzadeh. Brian Abraham Safadian. Brittany Imsace. Sarah Dink. Susanna Min. Manisha Malhotra. Hannah Ruth Bayer. Roxanne Marcus. Samantha Berry. John Ryan Reedmuller. Robert Brown. Christine Park. Linsha Chi. Ethan Walker Smith. Derek Shee. Natalie Gould. Aaron Black. Elizabeth Schatz Cordero. London Powers. Elizabeth Victoria Duran de la Iran. Lisa Cintron. Shannon Liza DeLog. Sandra Guzman. Jesse Wang. Deborah Mi-young Choi. This concludes the presentation of the degrees of Juris Doctor from the School of Law. Dean Parrish will now close the ceremony.
Well, how about one more round of applause for the class of 2023? Before we end this morning's ceremony, on behalf of the law school, I want to thank the class of 2023 for its generous class gift, and a special thank you to the class gift committee, Samantha Berry, Solange Fordenbach, Jason Grimm, and Jorge Iniguez. This class's generosity means a lot, and it sends an important signal to our graduates who believe in the school. I also want to thank the many people who worked so hard to plan this graduation. There are too many to name individually, but I especially want to thank the dozens of members of our staff who worked for many months behind the scenes, and a special thanks to Leslie Dodds for her efforts to making this event so special. One of the privileges to being dean is to be able to close a commencement ceremony, and it's a tradition for the dean to say some very brief, emphasis on brief words. The challenge is that when you go last, is there's been so many fabulous speakers who have given the graduating class good advice or reflected on shared experiences with classmates, that by this point, all of the good punchlines are long gone. And if we're to be honest, who wants to hear more from a dean? So I'd like to spend my time briefly speaking to the rest of the audience, to the family, friends, and loved ones of the graduates. You know that the graduates here, your loved ones, were accomplished in so many ways before they arrived here in Irvine. So accomplished, in fact, that despite all the words that were said today, you may mistakenly be inclined to take their achievements as something for granted, something you've become accustomed to because they've had many other achievements prior to today. But what their success and what they've achieved today is a big deal. I can't emphasize how much the faculty and the school respect and admire this graduating class. As has been said by others, during your time here, your loved ones worked incredibly hard. They spent thousands of hours reading, writing, studying, and learning, but they did much more than that. The law school is a better place, is a better school, and our local communities are stronger because of them. Many of them, as was noted, did it all during a global pandemic, which is truly remarkable. Perhaps from today's ceremony, from the work done with our faculty and our clinics, with our centers, with our institutes, our pro bono programs, our student organizations and journals and others, you have an ever small glimpse into how far-ranging their interests have been. And through these activities and many others, they've trained not only for the beginning of distinguished careers or returning to their countries from around the world to continue already illustrious careers, but they are graduating, having left their marks on our communities, on our nation, and our school. Our law school is a relatively new school. It began just under 15 years ago, and it was founded with the bold but distinct mission to graduate extraordinary, ethical, and accomplished professionals prepared to practice in an ever-complicated world, and do so with a deep commitment to public service. Our alumni are extraordinary, but I can say without hesitance, and my apologies to Chris and the class of 2017, that this class is one of the best ever. Round of applause. To the graduates, just a very few quick final words. First, I hope you'll bring to the profession that same energy, that creativity, that optimism and spirit that you brought to this law school. You are my first class since I arrived as dean at UCI Law School. We won't talk about that spy stuff, Jorge. I will never forget the kindness and warmth of my arrival here when I first arrived and you welcomed me. You underscored just what an exceptional community is we have here. And for me, this is a graduation I will always remember. Second, please stay in touch. Graduation should not mark the end of your relationship with the law school, but really the beginning. Many of our alumni make the pilgrimage each year back to the courtyard, back to the law school every time each year, and that makes a difference. Of all the schools on the UCI campus, our alumni are among the most engaged. Please continue that grand tradition. Indeed, the future of any great law school depends on its alums, and I hope you continue to display that anteater pride no matter where you go. I also look forward to hearing all about your successes and your future accomplishments. I mean that. When something big happens to you, or even something small, I hope you'll reach out and let us know, whether it's a promotion, a big win, a significant accomplishment. Please let me know and share in your success. It's a way we make the community stronger. And as Professor Song says, I have an Instagram account to feed, so. Lastly, and most importantly, thank you. You have been a tremendous class. You have represented the law school and the university so well. I didn't know what Professor Song and Chief Judge Gutierrez were going to say, but I think this fits quite well with their remarks. I will end on a quote from a former university president from the 1930s, who famously said, quote, "Make no small plans. They're too difficult to achieve, and they're unworthy of your ability. That is true of your talents, Dream big. Among law students, you are rock stars, and you shouldn't forget that. I speak for all the faculty and all the staff when I say we are so proud of all you've done and all you will do. Again, congratulations to the class of 2023. We will follow your lives and careers. I know we're going to follow your lives and careers with affection, and so please do keep in touch. So we've come to the conclusion of our program. Before we close, I want to extend a special thank you to Chancellor Gilman, Thomas Chung, Eddie Coronado, Jorge Inigas, Professor Jisun Song, and Chief Judge Gutierrez for fabulous remarks. One more round of applause. And I also want to thank Carrie Hornsby, Natasha Fastaben, Jenna Jones, and Kyle Jones for participating in today's ceremony. Okay. This is going to sound silly, and it's probably going to forever brand me, but I was asked by several students to take a selfie before we concluded it. So, Professor Gilman, will you join me? Jisun, will you join me? I need you on my left side. Right here. Oh, right here on the left side.
I'm going to be over here.
Super tall.
Yes.
Okay.
Can we get? Oh. Yeah, there we go. We got some more in? Oh, yeah,
Right in the middle. Right in the middle.
Sorry. There we go. The class of 2023. Okay, some important logistics. I ask that the audience remain seated. I see you up there. Remain seated until the faculty and the graduate recessional lines have exited. Afterwards, please don't leave, but join us in the reception outside the Bren to celebrate the extraordinary achievements of our newest alum. This concludes the 12th ceremony of UCI School of Law.